Alright guys, and welcome back to the Saints View, the channel for something content for a match preview ahead of Southampton's game back at St. Mary's against Leicester for the Friday night football. It is on Sky. We're under the lights again. Yeah, this one could go many ways, I think. But before we get into it, I just want to apologise for the fact that I'm filming on my phone, so it just doesn't look as good as it usually does. I've been having problems with my camera, so we can't really sort that out at the moment. So apologies in advance, but I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, make sure you like it. Also subscribe if you haven't yet already. We're nearing 2,000 subscribers, so to get there as soon as possible will be much appreciated. Right, let's get into the video. So we are back at St. Mary's for another home game. Having yet to win at home so far this season, it's been pretty poor to say the least at St. Mary's. 4 games so far with just the 1 point. And the first 2 games, performance-wise, were pretty good. Against Liverpool, we were competitive and created chances, could have easily drawn that game. And against Man United, you know, I think if Kevin Danzo hadn't been sent off, we would have pushed to go win the game. So I think those 2, you can't really complain. It's the other 2, so Bournemouth and Chelsea, where we were just nowhere near the level we really should have been. Bournemouth was the first game against a so-called non-top 6 side, and we just got played off the park completely, especially in the first half in that one. And then Chelsea, I think the less said about that, the better. Just before the international break, we were just nowhere near the level we should have been. You know, I've seen fans argue the case where, you know, Chelsea were in form and all this. But, you know, there's losing a game and then there's getting battered 4-1 at home against any side. It's just not really acceptable. And it doesn't really get much harder when it comes to opponents who will come to St. Mary's this season, as we've got in-form Leicester, now 3rd in the league. We'll talk about them a bit more later on, but, you know, the defence are going to have to play well. And they did look better. I think it has to be said. I think the whole team looked better against Wolves. Some people have said Yannick Vestergaard had another shaky game. Personally, I thought he looked okay. He looked better. He was winning a bit more. You know, expectation-wise, he's still not meeting those. But you know, he's looked a bit better in that one. I thought Højbjerg probably had his best game of the season, as did Bertrand. Romeo solid again in the middle of the park. So overall, it was a much more improved team performance. I think that's how it was described. And in the end, a point at Wolves, pretty good result. And that makes our away record the best start we've had to a season away from home, I think, for 4 or 5 seasons since Koeman's first campaign with us. We picked up 7 points in our first 5 away games. It's the home form that we now need to address, because that has been awful. So poor. Yes, the fixture list hasn't been kind. Granted, on paper, the home games we'll have in the second half of the season will be easier. But, you know, by then, maybe there's no confidence. You have to get the fans on side. You know, I think with this one, given Leicester's high position in the league, I think just a performance would probably do for now, just to get the fans on side. Against Chelsea, the atmosphere was appalling, and it's almost as if there's an opportunity in this one to make a better atmosphere, only because you'd like to think there'll be fewer plastic fans. I don't know. I mean, Friday night, some people can't really make it because of work commitments, as well as that, you know, you're unlikely to have Leicester fans who live in the area. You know, you've got Liverpool and Man United fans everywhere throughout the whole country, so there are always going to be away supporters in the home ends for those games. But for this one, you'd like to think that all the home fans are supporting Southampton. I mean, you should have that in every ground. The club need to address it, and the less said about that, I think the better for this video. But yeah, the fans just need to get on side. You know, we've seen it before where if there's an atmosphere, the players sort of respond to that and put in a better performance. I think we really need to get behind the players, because, you know, if it's quiet, Leicester will just tear us apart. And maybe they'll tear us apart even if there is a bit of noise, but at least we're trying to sort of support the team, because I've seen too many people just get frustrated too easily. Support the team, and maybe we'll get something from that. And, you know, I don't think anyone should be expecting to win on Friday, because, well, just Leicester are so good, and we'll get onto them in a minute. But you know, at least put in the performance. I think that's what everyone wants to see as a bare minimum, a good performance. You know, if we lose by a goal, but we've competed throughout, I think people will accept that more. Well, they'll have to, as opposed to being awful and just getting battered like we did against Chelsea. Of course, you want to take a point at least, especially when we've got Man City away next in the league. So yeah, I mean, I'd snatch your hand off for a point now. But I think the last thing we want to do is get battered again, because, you know, Leicester, if they're on form on Friday night, they've got the capacity to do that. You know, they could absolutely tear apart our defence if we're not on it. So Defenders need to have a really good game if we're to get anything on Friday night. And our recent record against Leicester is a bit mixed. At home, we've been pretty poor, losing the last two meetings. We got smashed when we were under the management of Maurizio Pellegrino, narrowly lost 2-1 again under Mark Hughes last season. But at the King Power, the performances have been better. We've only conceded one goal in our last handful of appearances there. Obviously beat them last time out just before Claude Puel got sacked. 2-1. We played them in the Cup as well last season. That was a 0-0 draw just before Mark Hughes got sacked, losing on pens. So the away performances at Leicester have been a lot better than the home performances, to say the least. But let's talk about our opponents. Leicester, by far one of the most exciting teams so far this season. I think the best team outside of the sort of top two bracket with Man City and Liverpool. And the table reflects that, currently third in the league. I mean, there was a load of hype about them under Brendan Rodgers in the summer and with the players they signed, but I think everyone's been a bit shocked as to how good they've genuinely been. Vardy's still banging in the goals. Madison's just incredibly creative. And I remember when we were linked with him, actually, I think we got a bid accepted, but he wanted to move to Leicester because it was nearer to home. Yeah, that hurts now. It really does. But it's not just the attackers, they're scoring goals, but the defence has been solid as well. After Harry Maguire left for Man United, Soyuncu stepped up and looked really solid. Kasper Schmeichel's having another good campaign in between the sticks, it seems. Ricardo Pereira is looking like one of the best fullbacks in the league. Everything's just going really well for them. And Ndidi in the middle of the park is playing really well. I mean, I'm really interested to see his performance next to Romeo's, because obviously Romeo has been one of our standout performers this season. And, Brendan Rodgers has just made them more competitive compared to Claude Puel. We saw it under Puel, where we just didn't look like we were competing with anybody. And now, Leicester are playing a really exciting attacking brand of football. When we sacked Puel, that was the sort of appointment we should have made. Obviously, that didn't happen. We went downwards. And I can't lie, I'm pretty worried for this one. I think they could genuinely batter us if we don't play our cards right. But of course, I'm no expert on Leicester, so I asked Leicester fan and YouTuber Anthony to give us some insight on all things Leicester City ahead of Friday's meeting.
Just for having me on for this preview, Dan. So obviously we're previewing Southampton against Leicester, 8 o'clock at St. Mary's. Not an ideal time for Leicester fans to be travelling to Southampton, but it is what it is, and it's Sky Sports, all TV. But let's get into a preview for the game anyway. So in terms of Leicester so far this season, we've been absolutely outstanding, playing some great football. And currently we sit third in the league with a real possibility that we can break top six. And I really do feel like that we can do it this year, with Spurs struggling and obviously United being absolutely awful so far this season. There is a real chance that we can do it. So in terms of Southampton, for someone who hasn't watched a huge amount of you guys so far this year, you seem to be a bit of a mixed bag, because sometimes you can be absolutely awful, like when you got battered 4-1 by Chelsea, and there's other times like against Sheffield United where you look very decent. So you're a bit of a mixed bag, but I feel like your league position of 17th doesn't really warrant how well you've been playing, because there has been quite a few games that you've played quite well and haven't got anything from. And you've got players that can hurt us. Obviously, you've got Nathan Redmond against us last year, caused all sorts of problems when you beat us at the King Power. You've also got Ward Prowse, obviously set-piece specialist. And then I'm going to butcher his name completely, but your new winger, Chinempo. I know I've completely fucked that up, but obviously he scored a great goal against Sheffield United. I believe that was goal of the month for that month. So he's a dangerous player, and obviously you guys have got players who can hurt us, and so we do need to be careful of that. But then in terms of the key men for Leicester, you've got Vardy, who's in absolutely great form at the moment. Madison, who's a 50-50 whether he's going to play. He only played an hour last week because he had a knock, and he played through that. So he may be rested, yet to know about that. I'm hoping he plays, but if he is rested, then Dennis Praet will probably come in for him, who's also looking very good. And then another player who's been in great form so far this season for us is Ricardo Pereira from right back, getting forward and getting back very well, adding goals and assists. So we've got threats all over the pitch, and I do feel quite confident going to St. Mary's that we're going to be able to get the 3 points. I do think it's going to be a very difficult game, so I'm going to go for a 2-1.
Cheers, mate. I'll leave his links in the description below. Now, on to my prediction. I think straight after the Chelsea game, I was incredibly worried about this one, saying all sort of nonsense about how we're going to get battered 5 or 6-0. It could happen. It genuinely could. If they're really in form and we just don't show up, we could honestly get torn apart. But I've gathered a bit more confidence after the Wolves game. I thought the performance was a lot more improved. I said it in my match review. I thought players who've been poor all season looked a lot better, the likes of Højbjerg, Bertrand. You know, Vestergaard had one of his better days, it seemed. I mean, nowhere near where he should be, but at least he was winning some of his headers. Valery looked good on the right-hand side as well. So I think we just need to play our cards right in terms of tactics. I thought Hasenhüttl got the formation spot on, matching a back five with Wolves' back five. Should we use that again? I'm not too sure. I mean, Leicester are very attacking, but will the extra defender help us? I'm not too sure about that. And I do back us to score. Danny Ings is on absolute fire at the moment, and I'd like to see him continue his run. But it's also about substitutions. You know, if we're losing by a goal or even drawing with maybe 25, 30 minutes to go, make a substitution. Attacking one as well. Bring on Shea Adams. Add a bit more firepower up front. Or Sofiane Boufal. Someone, just because, you know, fresh legs against a tiring defence. It's just a good tactic. You know, we haven't seen it. Moussa Djenepo is unlikely to be back for this one. I'm filming this before the press conference. But, you know, we've got Redmond, we've got Ings, Adams off the bench, Boufal off the bench if he doesn't start. Just get these players on with enough time to make an impact, and then potentially we can come away with something. You know, I can see us getting a point. I can't see us winning it. I don't think we've got nearly enough quality to go and win it. You know, Leicester really will have to have an off day if we are to win this one, and we'll have to be incredible. Yeah, our Friday night form just isn't good enough. You know, we've had 2 Friday night games so far this year. Had one a couple home games ago against Bournemouth. Both of them we lost 3-1. And I think I'm going to go with that again. I just worry about this one. I think at the moment we're in a bit of a difficult situation where, you know, the fixtures aren't helping, and we're playing our worst football of the season so far with the toughest fixtures. Yeah, I'm going to have to go 3-1 Leicester, unfortunately. No, obviously I'd love to see us draw. I think the fans need to get behind the team. They're capable. I genuinely do think they're capable of getting a point, or maybe even winning, who knows. This might be Leicester's best run of the season, and we're really playing them at the worst time. The fact that it's at St. Mary's as well doesn't help. Yeah, unfortunately I'm going to go for 3-1. Jamie Vardy to score. Yeah, it might be a long night. But thank you very much for watching, guys. Do make sure you hit the like button if you have enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new. Like I said earlier, we're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. Let us know your score predictions in the comment section below. The predicted lineup will be out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But until then, take it easy, guys, and we'll see you soon.